Yo, good morning to you. Oh, my mic's a bit loud. Hang on a sec. I'll just adjust this down. That's a bit better. All right. Just a quick one this morning. I have to leave in about 25 minutes. So I'll just do a quick update here on what's been happening. So the last time I streamed was during this little pattern back here on Bitcoin. I'll go down to the 15-minute chart so we can see it. But if you can remember, back here, we had a bull pennant and we broke up textbook to the upside. So that's awesome. That was a nice trade of 3.9%, so almost 4% up. And now resistance was met and we just haven't been able to get back to that spot. So now we are in a falling wedge, which the textbook understanding for that pattern is a bullish outcome. So let's zoom back out again. We're on the hour chart here. So now that we've got that part out of the road, I'm going to delete those lines there. So that was a textbook, bull pennant. So they don't always work out. That's the thing. So you have to be cautious when any kind of chart pattern presents itself on the chart, because you can see here, like here's an example of something not working out. You know, this was some kind of bull flag, potentially. And it broke down instead. So yeah, wait for confirmation. That's the message from that little lesson. So yeah, that's where we're at. We're waiting to see how price treats this falling wedge. There is, we are still in a bear market technically, so obviously there's a higher chance than usual that we actually fail this pattern here and break back down again to the previous lows of the range. But it was cool to see us get that breakout from the previous resistance here. So we broke the previous top of 22,000 and then didn't quite make it to 23K, which is where this resistance is here. So talking about ranges, I suppose this range here still exists and it's still in play, and it could be for some time yet, and that is this range box right here. So you could even argue that it's up at this other peak because there is another high that we're dealing with just back here. Yeah, right there. That. Let me just drag this right across so you can see it better. Okay, so right about there. But I would call 23 even. 23,000 is the top of the range and 17,622 is the bottom, obviously, with that yearly low that we had. So those are the, the extreme boundaries that we're working with. And it'll mean a lot when we leave these boundaries, like when these boundaries are broken. It'll be pretty telling of what's to come, I think, unless it's a fake out, of course. So let me dial this in perfectly as well. 17,622 is the bottom. Wind this across. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the range we're dealing with. It's really good though to see a higher high. So we've had, arguably these highs are a double top. That's why we went down from here. Some argue that this was a double bottom, but I disagree. That's not quite close enough to be considered a double bottom, if you ask me. Let me go back to the 4-hour chart just to get a bit more perspective. And we'll turn auto off and just expand this a little. Good morning, people. American Crypto Monster, Scott A, Vinny, Ghost of Corey Bing Bong, Saleh, Consumer 76, Crypto Ape. Hope you're all doing well. So yeah, we've got, we're still bound by this range. That's what's happening until we get confirmation of a breakout. So I think, this could go on for quite a while, this range. So just be prepared for that. It was really exciting, though, to see this push to the top of the range. Even if you had the top of the range boundary here, that would have got you really excited because we actually we came right outside of that. But anyway, we're still very much confined by the range that we've been trading in. So the volatility of this range is about 30% up from top to bottom. And as you know, coming down, it's less. About 23% down for shorting. So that's the range. It's not something to count on 100%. It's not a guarantee that we're going to trade inside of it for any amount of time, really. But there's a strong likelihood, but it doesn't mean that we won't leave it at any time. So just be careful. Always, every trade you take, be careful. There's no guarantees ever of up or down. So just understand that first, and then then you can put your risk measures in place. Now, what we have in the latest moments of the chart here, so this is the hourly. The last hour we've been coming down, probably to test the bottom of this what seems to be a falling wedge. Some might argue that it's a bull flag. Either way, it's coming down, it's kind of makes you nervous. Will it hold and confirm this as a wedge, and we get more movement to the upside later on, to test the top of the range again. So that's pretty much what markets are. It's, inclines and declines followed by consolidation or accumulation. So, these flat periods of indecision, or a struggle where demand and supply meet perfectly, which is what causes price to go flat. So, when there's a bias to either direction, you get the movement, the volatility. So right now, this is where we're at. We're in this falling wedge, which is a textbook bullish pattern. After coming up from higher lows and higher highs, which is an uptrend in the short term, and then consolidating slightly downward. That is textbook. Textbook would suggest a break to the upside. So, but just wait for confirmation. Wait for price to tell you what's going to happen. How are we doing for time? So it's almost half an hour to the hour. 36 seconds left of this half hour. So let's see what happens. I'm going to go to the 5-minute chart just to see how this behaves as the next bar comes in. Potentially, when those big round numbers finish or complete, it starts a new, movement. Not all the time, but quite often I've seen it. Things happen on the hour or on the new day. You get something. But there is the new 1 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute, and 30-minute bar right now. So yeah, we'll see how it behaves. Anyway, let's check some other cryptos. Let's see what the alts are doing as well. Some have fallen steeply. ICP has come down 8.6% today. XRP down 6.3%. You can see the rest here. I've been very impressed with Matic's performance over the past 2 months. And also, yeah, Solana as well. Doge has done interesting things as well. Let's check the Doge chart actually. So right now, Doge appears to be in some kind of a pennant. And it is a bull pennant actually because it's coming up from a low into the pattern. So if we duplicate this line and then swing it up to outline the bottom boundary against the lows, just like so. Something like that. You know, maybe you don't include this part. You know, you could probably like call it here like this, but it's certainly, either way, it's getting squeezed. And that's what these triangle or pennant or whatever you want to call these wedges, that's what they do. They squeeze the prices. It shows a compression of the lows and highs coming down to an apex. And you know, the thing that usually happens after price gets compressed like that is it breaks out, you know, usually dramatically. So just like we saw here, you know, the previous compression resulted in quite a sharp move down, which was textbook, by the way. That is a bear pennant, or a, you know, a bearish triangle, as it's come off the back of a downtrend into that. So now that we've got a bull pennant, and the reason is we've come up into the pennant from below. See the difference? We arrived into the pennant from above, so that's bearish, and then we've come into the pennant from below, so that's bullish. So it's a compression of price squeezing to an apex. So what we need now is to just wait for confirmation, just like we are with Bitcoin. We're waiting for confirmation of a break from this pattern. And you know, if Doge comes up to test again, and then, you know, that's the make or break. If it breaks out of there, that's awesome. If it comes back and actually back tests, that's okay too. It doesn't mean that it's failed. It's checking for support to make sure it, you know, can do the next step and move up. And that actually did happen on Bitcoin back here on this pennant. I know I deleted it, but I'll just draw it back in again just so I can explain it to you guys. It actually broke out and then back tested just to see that, you know, that was the true direction. Just have to expand this a bit so it's clearer. So, as you can see, that was what we were dealing with. The top side's more important in this case, but yeah, you can see the breakout happened. You know, it got up and then met some kind of resistance and then back tested. It actually re-entered the pennant, so that would have, you know, that would have changed the vibe a little bit, but then boom, it shot up. So the back test, you know, take it more as candle closes rather than wicks. See how we got candle closes outside. Mind you, this is only the 5-minute chart. I bet if we went to the 1 minute, we probably would have had candles closing back inside the pennant. Yeah, just there. But yeah, it really does depend on the chart time frame you're looking at. Now, Yeah, so that's an example of the backtest happening. So, and I think sometimes that is to sort of shake the longs out, you know, make people panic a little before the actual move. I mean, obviously on occasions it will break out without looking back and it'll just go up, 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 up. So, but yeah, this pullback, just a retest of the pennant. So yeah, I guess if I'm just going purely off textbook, my bias would be that for Dogecoin that it retests the top and breaks out. That's not even my opinion. That's just a textbook. That's the textbook outcome of this pattern. You know, if especially if the rest of the market sees this pattern the same way. Of course, things do depend on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin decides to break down violently, this will get cancelled. Like this won't work as a bull pattern. I doubt it. Or you know, the likelihood goes out the window. There's always chances, but yeah, if Bitcoin struggles, then you best believe that the alts are probably going to struggle too. Um, yeah, Scott, I agree. Yes, the music is reminds me of last year a lot. Eurozaza, good evening. Support and resistance for Bitcoin. Resistance is, I reckon, 23,000. Support is the low, 17,622. The Doge range is it's not really set in just yet. I mean, there's a short term range, and that's between 6 and 8. I would say 6 and 8 cents. But yeah, we're still feeling out where long term things are going to go for Doge. I feel like just the volume has not returned. Let me turn the volume indicator on. You can see that down the bottom here. And if we go to a weekly chart, you can see there's no evidence of any kind of build up over the last four weeks. You know, unfortunately, you know, like if you let me zoom right in on this, you know, you have some pumps here and there, like these weeks where the volume just goes up out of nowhere. But for the most part, you can see the average trend here is kind of like that. Like it's quite flat. Not a whole lot's happening on Dogecoin yet. And that is what a bear market does to the alts. That's just natural. That's what happens. It's healthy. It's a healthy thing. It's just signs that, you know, no one's really buying it up in droves. No one's really selling it off in droves. It's already kind of happened. It's spent the last 18 months doing that, you know, or however long this is. So yeah, all of the if you think of an altcoin or a chart like a sponge of water, full of water, when you first squeeze the sponge, that's where all the volume, you know, drops out of the sponge initially. And then all that's left are just drips. So you can wring it as hard as you can, but you'll only get a couple of drips. So there's not a whole lot of volume left in Doge at the moment. So, but hey, what happens when you squeeze a sponge right out? It's ready to take on water. It's ready to fully absorb liquidity again, and volume. So that's all of the alts. Even Bitcoin, you can think of it like that. Markets expand with volume, and then they retrace as they squeeze out, as you know, the money leaves. So yeah, in order to take on more money, it first has to be squeezed out. So everything's getting wringed out, and then yeah, we're just waiting for the tap to come back on. Think of it like that. So yeah, the activity that's happening between now and when that happens is just sideways chop, people playing around with small money. Even the whales accumulating, just taking their time with it. Because if they did it all at once, it would cause something called slippage, where the price, there's just not enough supply on the books to supply Bitcoin at the current price. If you wanted to buy $1 billion worth of Bitcoin at 20,800, it's impossible because no one is selling that level of Bitcoin at the moment at 20,800. So how do they do that? They buy it chunk by chunk. Whatever gets put up on the book, they take it. Then they wait for the next one. Whatever big walls get put up, whatever big sell volume gets put up on the books, they take it. And then they just, they do that slowly over time so as not to cause a bull run because they don't want a bull run yet. Same thing happened back here. If they had the money to do it, surely, if they wanted to push the market up early, they could, there's no doubt they would have had the money to do that. But, why would they cause the market to do that and, cost them money out of their pocket when they can just take their time and fill up at the best prices possible over time? And, don't doubt that they've got Bitcoin in the exchanges ready to put up sell walls so that retail can't buy through it and push the price and the market up. So yeah, that's the manipulation that goes on in crypto. These whales have the influence. They have the power to push price where they want it to go. Like they'll manipulate it. Though, mind you, the bigger Bitcoin gets, the more expensive it becomes, the harder it is to manipulate it. The whales would need to coordinate together to have an impact at those extreme prices. Because, when the Bitcoin market cap grows that large, it costs a lot of money to manipulate it. But, down at these levels, it's a bit more manageable. And that's why that's why Bitcoin was able to be held down so flat, because it was so cheap. You can, it's just that's just the function behind it, with the price. Things get really shaky and volatile up here because it's expensive and it's just doing its natural thing, it's flowing naturally where the market's pushing it. And I don't doubt there's probably, some big whales out there that, push things over the edge, not cause the entire move, but they had just enough to get things rolling, if that makes sense. All right, I've got 2 minutes until my alarm goes off and then I have to go get ready. But yeah, hopefully this little update helped you guys with where I think, or where things look like they're heading. So that is the pattern that we're dealing with at the moment. I'll delete this because that's happened already, if it'll let me. Okay. So yeah, hopefully that helps you guys. I'm a duck. You're welcome. Just gonna read through some comments here before I shoot off. Quant did well last few days. So that's great. Yeah. I know James there is a fan of Quant. Quant has potential, I'll tell you that. It's come down considerably. So in the next bull market, check it out. Pozo definitely looking like it wants to retrace a little more. Yeah. I can see that. I can see that, it's quite possible. It's big potential there for further sell off again. I think, the likely scenario here, we're on the daily chart, but I think it's quite possible that we just get a lot of these kind of shenanigans where it's just, playing around, going up and down in this range. All right. So I'll start wrapping it up. So, yeah, if anything crazy happens, in the next 10 hours, I might jump on, like if there's something interesting to cover. But yeah, likelihood is it might just be another kind of boring day of just slight decline over time. And anyway, I'll wrap it up here, and I'll catch you guys on the next stream. Play it safe in the markets, take care of yourselves, and have a good day, and good night wherever you may be. All right, see you guys.